Welcome to Prana Talk TV. I'm Shana Dean and
Elitom El-amin.
Elitom El-amin. Hello, everybody.
All right, this is awesome. So you're looking bright once again, as always. However, I can't say as always. Every time we get together, there's always changes, because one truth that does exist is change. And when you're on this pranic journey, of course, you're always in the changing mode, just like everybody else, but you're consciously taking part in it now. That's the difference. Because usually when I say to people, if you don't consciously reprogram yourself, somebody or some situation will. The Breatharian journey just wakes you up till you are taking part in reprogramming yourself consciously. And that's what we want to happen. Oh man, this is awesome.
Other people can reprogram you, society can reprogram you, but so can your unconscious mind, right? So if you're conscious of your thoughts and your behavior and the things that you're doing, you can program yourself for things that you don't even want.
Right. Because we are programs, because of the Kabbalah, that's what they say. The definition of a person, we don't think about it, is a program. So therefore, you're just going from program to program. Even when you change your life, you need more information to bring on some type of empowerment. And when you got that information, you can get rid of the old program or the old information and start rotating into the new download. That's why we say this is a process. And this makes a lot more sense to people, because just like anything you're doing in life, you learn a new instrument, whether it's playing a flute, playing a guitar, you learn a new skill, fixing a car, anything, you got to get that new information. And just like neuroplasticity, your wiring of your brain actually changes with the new information you're bringing on. So the breatharian knowledge is not included. This is a lifestyle change of information, and you're constantly taking part in it. And like we are saying, or other people will, that don't mean that they're plotting on you. We do that regardless. That's what synergy is about.
That's right. And it's all up here, all of it. Your thoughts create your reality, and your higher consciousness, which is in your whole being, right? I mean, your whole being is within your consciousness. I mean, that's really important to understand. So when you start lightening up your diet and doing your meditations, you're cleansing not just your body, but your connection to your higher self and your higher consciousness. And this is really key. And when that starts to happen, your energy gets more clear, your chakras, your nadis, your meridians start clearing up. And then you start realizing there's not much difference between you and the universe, you and the world around you. There's this incredible connectivity that starts taking place. So you get lighter and lighter, and you manifest like we've talked about in the past, but you realize there's not much difference between you and everything else.
Right. Now listen at this. The information really don't change. It's the same, but it's how people explain it. Have you ever seen a teacher and the teacher is there, and some classes you don't like, but you like this one class because you're grasping how the teacher is presenting it. And some people will rotate to different people just because of how they explained it. I can catch what they're saying, even though everybody might be saying the same thing. So I like how you just said earlier, you got a thing, you can tell people about your Shakti Pot.
Yes, yes. I entered into a retreat not that long ago, and I met this beautiful guru who's actually in India right now, just where you are, Elitom. And he gives something called Shakti Pot. Now, Shakti, these are yogic terms, right? So there's Prana and there's Shakti, and he explains it like this. Prana is like electricity. It's the energy that runs through the body. It's the universal life force energy. However, Shakti, which is also known as the Divine Mother, is that electricity. It's that energy, but with consciousness.
Right.
I guess you could refer to that as source energy or God or whatever you want to refer to it. But it's that conscious, intelligent life force energy. And what I have found, now he gave me something called Shakti Pot, which is a transmission of energy from the guru to the person. It's almost like receiving an attunement. And when that happened, even though I've been on this pranic path for quite some time now, and with my Reiki practice, I'm always sending energy. But that actually made me feel more full, more satiated, more, I don't even know exactly how to explain it, but it just totally up-leveled the energy, of course. So as you go along this path, whether you receive Shakti Pot or not, whether or not you're drawn to a guru or anything else, it doesn't matter. But when you get on this path, you realize the energy you bring in gets more and more intense and fuller and more conscious. And when that starts happening, that's when you start really being nourished.
Right. Absolutely. Now, I'm glad how you explained that, you know, coming from that level, that school of thought, which is beautiful. Now, there's a story that's called The Greatest Story, Love Story Ever Told. Listen at that. And it's dealing with Shiva and Shakti. They're this couple. And how they explain it is, you know how we usually say when I be taking people through the Qigongs, you always got this cosmic energy raining on you both day and night. The cosmic energy is hitting everybody, all life forms, and it's always coming down, penetrating everything, impregnating everything. They call that Shiva, the male energy coming down, the sky father. Now, they got the thing called Shakti, and she's always trying to get to Shiva. And that's the energy that's more in our bodies that's coming from the hip area. But there's different names to throw everybody off, like the Kundalini and all of this. But heat love to rise upwards, and I say that a lot to me, other people. There's an energy inside of you that always seek to rise upward. They call that the Shakti, always trying to rise up to the head, where the two serpents is going upwards. So these two lovers is always trying to meet. And what they say is, Shakti, as she's going through this maze, dealing with our physical body, just like when you hit a maze, you'll hit this blockage. So she had to turn around and try to find this other route, hit another blockage. So you're going through this maze, but she never gives up. By her nature, she keeps trying to rise up to find her nature. That's why everybody's breatharians. And when we say you got to learn to get out of your own way, you're trying to open up the blockages or the maze so Shakti can rise up to meet Shiva. She's going to do it by her nature. And Shiva always keep coming down on you, looking for her to make this union. And I like how you said Shakti is like the intelligence. One is just the electricity. It's always working in our favor. It don't care. It just loves everybody. Here it comes. But that other one that has that intelligence, yeah, when it hits a blockage, it will actually move, coming upwards, trying to come up. It's intelligent. It wants us to grow. It wants us to connect. That's what gives you life. So they both can meet to have that union with. The union with the divine. That's the greatest love story because they don't give up as long as you're alive.
That's right. The love story involves you too, because the more Shakti you have in your system, the more of this beautiful, intelligent, universal life force energy you have. It doesn't just move. I mean, it does, but it also clears your block. Right? So it's doing that. And at the same time, it's moving into you into a space of more kindness and more compassion, more softness. You know, you're more in alignment with your true essence. You know, your edginess isn't quite there. You know, the things that used to irritate you aren't quite there. So, and by the way, all of this, the platform here is meditation. So you don't typically just walk around and have like this Shakti experience. And I guess you could, some people have, but typically it's with the foundation of meditation. So you can really connect and feel it and clear.
I'm glad you're bringing that up.
I want to say one more thing really quickly. So the guru said before meditation, come to meditation with an empty stomach. Don't eat anything for 2 to 3 hours before meditation. So we're not making this stuff up. This Breatharian stuff isn't brand new. This is a philosophy thousands of years old. So the cleaner you are, the more you meditate, you're headed in this direction. All right, you were going to say.
And this is why we say meditation is the foundation, because this even made you want to go into meditation deeper.
Oh, I can't stop meditating. Yes.
Oh, this is awesome.
It's like a love
this isn't like you said, just walking around and this, you know, okay, you might have that 0.000.1% person that could do that. Nobody's arguing that. But come on now, this is a technique, this is a skill, and you're allowing yourself to relax, so you can let these forces work that's already inside of you. It's awesome. So we're not just making this up, not at all.
Right.
And if you don't know how to meditate, you can learn.
Learn.
It's not hard once you understand what it's about. But once you catch on, feeling these energies that's already there, that's going through you, that's around you, you will start loving it more and more and more. And I like how you said too about you start having a lot softer energy. Because people asked you one time, could you be angry and get fed off of prana?
Right. I actually meet people online who say they're breatharians, but they're definitely angry.
Yeah.
They're really argumentative, and I think, how is that? I mean, how's that possible? I mean, I guess it could be. You know, I guess there's different routes. You know, I know some people reach breatharianism just simply by exercising and cleansing. I think you can do it that way. But I've always found that the meditation is so crucial. So, and I know that just really helps bring you into a centered place.
Well, I'll answer it for you because I've been on this path 20 years.
Right.
And those who had that angry attitude are not in the game right now. I'm going to tell you that right now. Because this is what it's all about. When that anger is in you, nobody's arguing that. It's being revealed so you can remove it. And I'm sure there's people that's telling them that, wait a minute, you know, those edges on you. You know, it happens to everybody. Everybody's coming for different things. But it cannot remain. So that's what I said. Those people that I ran into in the 20 years are no longer with us. You understand? You know, when they didn't remove that. They should be able to clear those things up so you can become a more softer person. You understand? So you can keep developing and be a one with the universe, because the fear-based frequency is going to be removed. You're angry because you're afraid.
Or hurt. Yeah, or hurt.
Or hurt.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. And we need to address these things so that we can know. So you won't know, because that's why we're on the path, just to share our experience. That's a lower energy right there that blocks the frequency of prana. There's higher frequency forces of emotions and feelings. We're all on consciousness, but you're traveling through it through your emotions and feelings. And then there's higher level feelings and emotions that you're using. This is awesome.
So that makes sense, right? So if you haven't worked through it, or if you're not willing to work through it, then the breatharian path may not be sustainable for you. So have the courage to take a look at what you need to and work through it. And that actually segues into what we also wanted to talk about, which was being responsible for your life and noticing the way the world is responding to you, and learning about yourself. Oh, I love this, because this kind of wraps actually into the beginning of what we were talking when you were talking about Shiva. Shiva is actually the god of destruction. Did you know that?
Yeah.
So it's about destroying that, like the illusion, that which isn't real.
There we go.
That which is keeping you from your true godlike self, right? So it's all about being really conscious and taking a look at what's happening to me. Do I have a lot of challenging stuff going on around me? You know, are people not friendly around me? Maybe it's time to look inward, and you can kind of work on yourself just by noticing what's going on.
Absolutely. See, we're answering it now. Shiva the destroyer, destroying blockages, destroying things that ain't supposed to be there, tearing it down so it could be this one connection. And you won't be angry no more. For what? It will show. It will glow. You'll be happy. Happiness, peace, love. That's higher frequency being in yourself. It will show without a shadow of a doubt, because you're a mirror reflection of your environment. Now, here in India, I got a friend who's really cultivated, and we're running around all over the place. So we're connecting just like how you and I do, because we're all connected on this frequency. And one day, and this is like, I had this image in my mind on this new outfit I wanted to actually make, dealing with camouflage. And for the last 3 days, everywhere we go, we see people with camouflage on, and we just look at each other. But we realize that, see, on one level, when you start the journey, when we say consciousness, immediately a person just look at their brain.
Right.
Then you start catching on more and more as you're growing. You start looking at your whole body, the aura that's going around you. This is my consciousness. There is no separation. But then you really start understanding when we say that your environment is a mirror reflection of what's coming off of you, it really started making sense. So everything we're thinking, we're seeing in the environment now, we just start laughing at each other. It became real. So even though we use the word consciousness, subconscious, and unconscious, all these different super consciousness, we go all day long, even all of that melts. It's only one consciousness. It's just different states and levels that we're on. Right. You became aware of this now.
Exactly, exactly. Oh, I love
this is so awesome.
It is awesome. And the clearer you are, the more you realize that you're so connected to everything around you. So the more you're running the energy, the more you're doing your cleansing and your fasting, the faster all of that happens.
Oh, absolutely. And that's when you start really living a good life, a really good life, because you're happy. Every situation you know is geared towards your growth. You're growing, you're learning. The universe don't want to hurt you. And keep in mind what we say to the universe. One thing I know what people say, they'll say in their mind, well, Elitom, you just don't know Henry. You just don't know Mary. You know, no offense if that's your name. This person can really la, 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 la. I know this. All of us got our challenges, especially when you start out. But the more you start being on this path, working on your inside, you actually see other people start transforming also to fit your new idea. We're just not making this up. Right. This is so awesome.
Which means as you evolve, so do those around you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the higher vibration has the tendency to transform the lower one.
Right. So you're serving the world by working on yourself. And that's a message I really want to put out there, because in my practice, my Reiki practice, I work with a lot of people who are so busy taking care of others. They don't always take care of themselves. I know that's the case for a lot of people. Right? Because you really want to help others. And then sometimes you might think, oh, well, if I take care of myself, that's selfish, or, you know, I'll pray for you know what I mean? But it's really important you take the time to take care of yourself, because the more you are in alignment, the more you are meditating, and the meditation's key, because that's what brings you into your sense of peace and connectivity, all of that. The more you're doing that, the more you do actually serve others. And then when it comes time for you to actually perform a service for someone else, not just serving others by your beautiful presence, but by actually doing something for others, you don't become exhausted by it, because it's not your energy that's coming through. It's the divine energy that's coming through. It's prana, it's Shakti, it's God.
Right.
Divine. And that just fuels you and actually heals you and empowers you even more. So it just feeds you. It's a win-win-win-win-win.
It's a win-win-win situation. You are this open channel for creation. This is what's happening. You are recreating the world. So we use that word reprogramming. Yeah, you're recreating the heavens and the earth, your mind and your body. This open channel, a channel of love, peace, joy, happiness, and everybody around you will start loving it. It's good being around a person of light.
Oh my gosh, yes, they feel like somebody and everything, you know. And it's like, it's not like you're avoiding things that are challenging, because I know that could be a thing in the New Age movement. Oh, even if something's hard, you just pretend like, oh, it's okay, everything's rosy. It's not pretending. It's that if there is something challenging, you face it, you embrace it, but what you realize is you move through it so much faster, and your general state is that of peace and happiness. So you don't slip into that old pattern of victimhood, or when you don't hang on to the challenge and the suffering so long, so it turns into like a long-term bitterness or anger or whatever that is. We've all been there, right? But so you learn to move out of that, so you move through these stages quickly and you snap back into your natural state. And that's really important.
This is so awesome. Now I love how we use that word spiritual cultivation or energy cultivation. And that's why that goes back to meditation, because look at it like you got this seed of this plant, you just planted it, and then you're the gardener. You're making sure as it is getting the right water and it's in the right atmosphere. But even when it starts sprouting, coming up, you're still taking care of it until it can get stronger. So this is why meditation comes into play, you're actually taking care of that energy inside of you so it can grow up properly. This is why this is a lifestyle till you get stronger and bigger, and all this other stuff is to start coming up into the lotus. Now there's a good thing. I remember when you was talking, we laughed so hard. And you was like, I'm eating up the world.
Oh, that's
remember that?
Yeah. I am. I don't remember exactly the context, but it's like I'm just feeding off the whole world. I'm just
loving it.
Yeah.
And she sent me this meme where this raccoon had his head out the window, just eating up all the air and eating up life, and that's the truth. You're like a good receptor of the higher forces. Listen at that. Now, they usually say that the female is the receptive principle. You understand? And on one level, now, I hope people can catch this. This is metaphors, but it makes sense. They actually say all people are actually feminine. All right? Now, listen at this, because even when a baby's in a mother's womb, before it even becomes a male, at first it's a female. And even, you know, male got the nipples and stuff, but what do they use them for? It's like a female turned inside out. But
It's such a funny visual. All right.
right, we got these nipples, and what do we use them for, right? They're there. You just want some female. But anyway, or you are on higher levels. So you're actually getting impregnated by the higher cosmic forces. There we go with the story of Shiva and Shakti again. Sky Father's coming down impregnating all life, and we're bringing up this sort of like how they say spring showers. Look at these metaphors. These showers coming down, they say that's like the semen impregnating Mother Earth, and then all of a sudden the offspring and the flowers come up. So therefore, when you're eating up everything, you're taking on this pregnancy, you're eating it up, but at the same time, now you're impregnated with this energy, this Shakti, and you're growing it. You're making it getting bigger, sort of like the mother's carrying that embryo for 9 months and it's growing. But even when the baby's born, because I usually tell people, you start out good all the time, then you give up. You have a spiritual abortion. You didn't know what was taking place. You got something very precious inside of you. You got to keep cultivating it. Don't let nothing destroy it. You know, this is what's taking place so it can grow. And when it starts coming up, you will know it. When it comes up through the earth, it's beautiful. And then even then, you got a whole nother lifestyle to take care of. You know, like a 2-year-old don't take care of itself. A 4-year-old, you're still taking care of your energy. You're growing from a baby all the way into the breatharian adulthood.
Yeah, I love it. And there's 2 different kinds of meditations I want to talk about, because you're talking about really cultivating that energy, right? So you're doing meditations with visualizing, and you're also doing Qigong, things like that. And I love that. And I've done a lot of that. But lately with the Shakti, I have just been going into a place of no mind, right? So there's no visualizing. It's just stillness. And I've been doing that about 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening. So maybe about 4 hours a day I'm doing that right now. And it kind of varies. So what I find is when you do the energy cultivation, that's consciously bringing in the energy, and that's really important. That makes you feel really strong, and that's really good when you're a beginner, certainly on the path. And when you can get into the place of no mind, because I know that's hard for people at first if you've never actually meditated, you can do that also. And maybe there's one you like better. Maybe you just love the visualizing, or you love the stillness and you just pick one, or both, whichever. But what I find is when you're in the stillness, or when I'm in the stillness, I actually naturally start running more energy without any effort. It becomes effortless. So I can do the visualizing and put in lots of effort to run my energy this way, that way, spin this, do that, you know. Or I can go into no mind, just sit and receive in a receptive mode, and I find my system is flooded with energy. Without
I'm glad you're bringing that up. Now, when I say energy cultivation, that what you're just talking about is energy cultivation. Right, sitting there, because the effort was first you got to what? Sit down and let it happen. Because I remember one time I was up on a mountain when I was living in my cave, and some woman came up there, and she's looking at me as I'm on a rock, sitting there, just letting her mind go and letting the energy do the work. That's the cultivation. But she said, I feel that we don't need to do all of this. And I said, well, what's wrong with just relaxing? This is what I said. This was the question that popped up. So as time went forth, you know, she disappeared, you know, because I'm doing something. But I'm glad you're bringing that up with the no mind, not thinking about nothing, no effort. There's nothing you have to do. But the only thing you got to do is show up.
And allow.
All right?
And allow.
Allow.
Receive.
But I'm glad you're bringing this up because your thoughts block cosmic energy. Your thoughts can block it. So that's why when somebody gave us the program, if you don't eat, you'll die. That's a thought that's in your energy matrix. And when you are holding on to that thought, it is blocking the possibility of the conscious, of the creative force to do anything for you. Because you are a creator. You must get that in mind. If you don't want to be nourished, you don't have to be. This is why there's so many diet changes out there. A person is creating that.
Yes, yes. Oh, I wish, yeah, if we could just like repeat this 10 times, just drill it in.
Man.
You are a creator. And with anything in your life, not just with the nourishment, if you have any limited thought pattern around anything, money, job, home, anything, you're creating that. You are creating that. So you always think limited thoughts. Be very vigilant of your thoughts and how many thoughts you have. And this is why meditation is so good, because it teaches you to train the mind.
Train the mind. And there was a guru one time said, a person who does not meditate cannot be wise. Now he came at it straight because your mind is a very powerful tool. We all have this voice in us that talks and over highlight things. You have to control that thing. This is why we're saying it's so important. We're just coming straight from the hip now. Letting you know what it is. But just how you said it, that's easy to allow. But the allowing is give yourself some time for yourself, some space for yourself to say, I'm going to allow at this time period. This is what we mean by energy cultivation. It'll automatically grow. Automatically. Yeah. This is it. Because your inward person wants to grow. It ain't like it don't want to.
Right.
It's always seeking to do that.
Your natural state. So we're just removing all the things that are blocking the natural state. Hence Shiva.
Yeah.
Hence, you know, sort of illusion. You can look at any religion, right? It doesn't matter whether it's Hindu or Christianity or Buddhism or whatever. It's getting rid of the attachments, you know, the food, all of that. We just let it go. The attachment to stuff, you know, the attachment to ideas, thinking you know everything, thinking you've got it figured out. You probably don't.
And then listen to these two things. There's many jobs out there. You could be a dentist, you could be this, and you could be that. Okay, nobody's arguing that. But your main number one job in life is to remove the blockages.
Right.
But then you have to find out. Now the good part is, first you have to find out is something a blockage. If it's not serving you no more, you can get rid of it. This is it. You got to catch the block. That's the key right there. Now, to catch the block, this goes back to what we were saying earlier. Can you be angry and be a breatharian? Those different idiosyncrasies will reveal themselves to you. Because I'm sure if a person's carrying that character, somebody's telling them about that. You understand? Now, you might not like it at first, but if too many people's telling you at once, you got to take a look in the mirror, because that was the mirror you was looking at. And it can be removed if you want it to.
Yeah, it starts with your awareness and your consciousness. So if you're wondering where your blocks are, realize your natural state of being is happiness, bliss, gratitude, and also kindness, right? Compassion.
Right.
So if you're not experiencing any of that, right, or if you have moments that you don't, just take a little inward check and say, what is it that's keeping me from that? Is it some kind of stress? Is it tension? Is it anger? Is it, what is it? You know, is it that I'm hurt? And then take a look at that, and then look at it even more deeply, you know, and then it'll be really obvious what the things are. And then you can start actively working on those items.
Oh, yeah. And the reason why we're saying this, even in the Bible, they got a thing called the fruit of the Spirit. And I believe they give like 7 qualities, you know, dealing with the happiness, the love that's coming through a person. Those are fruits that, and listen at that word, they say fruit. You're like this tree because you got all these veins, these meridians coming out. And you are actually producing a spiritual fruit that will manifest. So when you see a person with those qualities, you know they are in higher consciousness. You know they are in higher spirit. That other stuff, no, that's not it. We're not putting the person down, but that stuff they're still working on.
And you feel it too, energetically. Have you ever sat with someone? I mean, I've sat with a lot of different gurus and things, so I know what it feels like to be with someone who's enlightened. So maybe a lot of people haven't experienced that. But
right.
Those of you who have, if you've been with someone who is on a higher spiritual path, you feel it. They don't even have to open their mouth. They just have to look.
Right.
Even with their eyes closed, it emanates. It just comes off of them. You feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have that potential.
All
of us. That's our natural state. So it's just moving into that place. You know, and I do want to say one thing. When you start meditating, if you decide to go the no mind route, the total silent meditation route, it can be really challenging at first because thoughts do come up. Let them come up and just observe them. If you just sit long enough and not get frustrated, right? So that's the key there, is the frustration.
I'm glad you're bringing that up.
Yeah, if you have frustration, it means you have an attachment to letting go of your thoughts. So that means you got to get rid of that attachment, right? There's got to be no expectation.
Right.
Just let them come, you watch them. And if you sit long enough, you'll realize that you can outlast the thoughts. Over time, they'll start to kind of go off into the background, and then you can slip more in. But it takes a practice, and you have to let go of your desire to be in that total no mind, peaceful state. You know, it's kind
I'm glad you're bringing that up.
Yeah.
Because you're going more into detail. You're helping a lot of people with what you're just saying. I like how you're saying that, because as soon as you sit down, all meditations, what they do got in similar is first relax and get in a comfortable position. Your breath will automatically on its own drop on its own. That's why I'm glad you brought that up earlier about not eating nothing before you meditate.
Right. Right.
Your breath will automatically drop.
Yeah, the eating actually really gets the system going. So you're trying to calm everything down. I even highly suggest doing some pranayama or breath work, even for like 10 minutes before you do a meditation. That calms the mind down even more, makes it really much easier.
Right. And they usually say about 70 to 80,000 thoughts go through our head constantly every day. I mean, this is a busy machine.
It's a machine.
But when you sit down and just relax, and the breath automatically start dropping, and you didn't eat nothing, you're relaxing, the thoughts by their nature will slow down. So you do got this in your favor. They're not going to stop completely. We're not saying that. But they'll go down to at least 30 to 40,000. Everything will start soothing. That's still a lot in it.
Well, this is what I've learned. So there have been periods in my life where I've meditated a lot, and there have been periods in my life where I've been really active and I kind of put it aside, right? So when I go back to it, the mind's going. And sometimes I felt like in the past, like the first hour feels like a wrestling match between silence and mind, silence and mind. It's like, and you're like, okay, you're sitting with it, you're watching it, you're not judging it, you're not getting upset, right? You're not getting frustrated. That's the key, because if you get frustrated, then you're just going to get up and say, forget it. And you just sit with it. And what you find is by the end of that hour mark, at least for me in the past, then the thoughts, they still happen, but they're not as strong and they're in the background. And then it's like, okay, now I can kind of focus more. And the longer you sit with it, the more that happens. So it's a practice.
I'm glad you're going into detail again. People need to hear this.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm glad how you said the thoughts is just, you're observing them. They're not good, they're not bad. It's just like birds flying in the air, like the old folks used to say. Just because birds fly over your head don't mean you have to let them make a nest there. As soon as you start drooling on that thought or to latch into it, you just gave it power. Just to look at it. In your life situation, something you just went through, somebody just said something. Yes, that's natural. We're living, we're here. That'll be there at first, but the more you relax, the more it starts slowing down, and you just looking at it. You're being an observer. This is what we're talking about. You're animating this body. And that's the thing about being on the Breatharian journey. And this is what I've been teaching lately more about the affirmations. Being a person that's programming yourself consciously, because you are animating your body. Food don't have nothing to do with it.
Right. And
we might as well make it plain.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
When you start getting into these higher energy realms where you're really bringing in a lot of energy, how should I put this? You can program that energy. That's when you start programming yourself, and that's what Joe Dispenza talks about. But what I notice is the more prana, the more Shakti, the more universal life force energy you're flowing in, the more your mind makes a difference.
Yes, big time.
That's when you really want to start being vigilant with your thoughts, and that's when
you are a creator.
You're the creator, and you can seriously program yourself for anything. Anything.
Yep, anything. And like we said earlier, this is more than just food or not eating or not eating. This is on everything in life. Dealing with finances, dealing with friendships, dealing with your response on people, dealing with a new livelihood you want to get. It's the program that's coming up off you. That's why this is so serious. If we're dealing with it, you're living in it, you're like a biocomputer. So it just makes sense. You should learn this. This is what we're offering. Yeah.
Right.
Instead of having your life, I don't know why this happened. I don't know. That's why they got that term called unconscious. Unconscious, it ain't talking about you're like passed out like this. It's just you're unaware of what's taking place. You want to go from unawareness to awareness. Ignorance to enlightenment. You know the ball game. You know what's happening. Yeah. Because it was just a woman who said something about how she went back to her last diet. The one wasn't working, but the key words that she said, people around her was talking, and she went into the program that they gave her. She didn't see that. That's what did it. Right. See, if you don't constantly program yourself, somebody else will. Yep. Her friends and family didn't understand the knowledge she was doing, so it overrode that program, and she went back into it. Right. So I admit, when I started out this journey, I had to be the dominant person to overtalk everybody else around me in my mind, because they don't know what I was trying to accomplish, what I was trying to do. They weren't being mean, they weren't being evil. They didn't understand food freedom. So I had to go back in my program and say, get all your vitamins and nutrients from other sources. That's the power of my mind. Until it became the dominant force. It don't matter what other people are saying. That's your program, not mine.
Right. It's really easy to take somebody else's program and adopt it as your own. And that's really important for anything. So if you're hearing someone else's voice all the time, and then all of a sudden you start creating that thought and it becomes your voice, and then you're becoming yourself without you even knowing it. And that's where you need to start paying attention and just saying, no, I'm overriding that. I'm not going to take that on. This is my new reality.
You don't want it. Or it might be something you do want. See, this is why we're so precious to one another. Because like a wise person to say, not only you listen to wise people, you also listen to what the fool is saying. So you can be clear on, I don't want that one, but I'll take this one, and this and that. We're doing it regardless. We're programming other people, or they're programming us. I was just with a group of friends yesterday where a friend of mine said, there's tune to this song. That song was stuck with us for hours. She programmed all of us.
Right.
But this is what we do to one another. Now, of course, we all enjoyed the song, but we couldn't get out of our heads.
Right. Exactly.
So,
and I love
what we're talking about. What?
I love the whole idea of conscious living, because think about the majority of humans on the planet, I have to say it, are living unconscious lives. Now, you're eating food that really dulls you down, right? A lot of foods, processed foods, the convenient foods, the meat foods, all that stuff dulls you down. You're not paying attention to your thoughts. You're being programmed by society and your parents and your friends, and you're in this job that you may not love. And the whole experience is dulled, and you don't feel like a creator, or you might be really hurt by things that have traumas that have hurt you in your past, and you're kind of reacting and acting to that, and then you're seeing your life is not that great because it's a reflection of yourself, but you're not aware of it, right? Have I just described like a common situation here? So all of this is about, let's shed some light on this. Let's start with the food, cleaning the food up. Let's start with the meditation so we can clear the mind up. Let's just start with conscious of what we're thinking, what's around us in the environment, and really owning the fact that you really are a creator, truly. So you don't have to live that other life. You know, you can live a totally different life that you've never even thought was possible. It's possible.
And see, this is why, for myself, I developed so much gratitude. I was just thinking today, and this comes up on me all the time, on where I came from on this journey. And I'm living a life now that I can't even imagine back then. So that just goes to show you too, it wasn't an effort on myself to say, what I know I'm going to be doing in the future. It wasn't that at all. There was a force of intelligence that grabbed me up out of that. That's why I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Yep. And you don't have to know your future. You just don't. All you have to do is clean yourself up, get yourself with your higher self, and whoop, your life will just shoot off into miraculous directions that you.
The light will take care of things for you.
Yeah.
Right. Big time. So again, those people and those situations, you might say, well, you just don't know the situation I'm in. But if you start where you at and start at least making some type of effort to clean yourself up, the bigger picture light will take care of you. Yes. It will get you out of there, change your life. You'll be doing so many things. You'll have a whole new character. This is awesome.
Yes.
And your health will be on key.
Totally. Mind, body, and soul, and in every possible way. And I also want to say, because I do work with a lot of people who are in situations that need to move into better situations. And they say, well, I think I want this, this, and this, new car, new home. You know, they list it all up. And I always say, you may not want to think about exactly what you want, because as soon as you do that, you put it in a box, right? And
yeah, you sure did.
Even though you think this is great and this is what I want, it's kind of limited, because what if something comes to you that's even more amazing that you couldn't even imagine? What is that? So it's better that you don't think of the specifics when you think of what you want, and you just focus on, you know, tuning into your higher self, feeling the love and the gratitude. If you just bring that emotion, that actually creates energy in the body. It creates a higher vibe. And then whatever comes to you will be in alignment with that feeling, that energy. You don't need to know the specifics of it. Just trust.
Exactly.
Great.
Right. And even, I'm glad you're bringing this up. People need to hear this. I love saying that. Because even the path it'll take you. Now, of course, there's a thing called planning. You do step A, step B, step C. But when you start rolling more on a spiritual level, dealing with higher consciousness, try to imagine that there's a side of you that's looking down on you. Now, we're not even saying a separate God or nothing, but you're bigger than what you really are.
Right.
And it can see how to get you from point A to point B that you don't see looking at a linear view. You're trapped into this body. You're limited. And that's why you got to start trusting the process, trusting the universe, which is yourself. And it's going to take you to a path, take you a way that you wouldn't even thought possible. Bring people to you didn't think that would show up. Show you information. It could be in a book. It could be somebody just saying it out of your mouth, just what you was thinking. This journey becomes awesome on how it start really helping you.
And you become so much more intuitive. So when you start really aligning yourself, you will start headed in the right direction, right? Because you're intuitive sense, or you might get a nudge. Oh, I need to call this person right now, and sure enough, that person might have something to offer you. Or oh, I'm going to go over here today. You know, you're just more in the flow because you're just more tuned in. And
absolutely,
that's important.
And then I like to bring up too, there are probably some habits that people will say, well, I'm stuck in it. I mean, this is really, really strong. Okay. The light is so powerful. I was just talking to some people today where they said there's something in you as it starts growing through meditation that it'll say, I just don't feel like it today. I just don't, it'll start coming up more and more. That's why you got to give yourself time to just let the process take place. oh my gosh, this is awesome. And it's all of our true nature. That's what we're exposing, our true nature inside of us. Don't be afraid of it. Just let it grow.
Oh, so beautiful. But it is a practice. You know,
yeah.
You can't just say, okay, I'm going to be a breatharian overnight, or I'm going to just sit down
practice.
A 3-hour meditation right away. You know, and maybe you
yeah.
But it's a practice. You build up to it. And like I said, no attachments to expectations, no pressure.
Yeah.
You just allow, you just let it happen.
And I'm glad you brought up that term practice. Perfect practice make perfect. And that's why they got a term called a holistic practitioner. That's a person who practices a holistic lifestyle. You're practicing it. You're living it. They got a medical practitioner, whatever. It's a person that's living what they're talking. See, out in the world, you can get a degree. You don't even need to live it. All you need to have to do is the paperwork.
Right.
To say I'm this. But when you're dealing with a practice lifestyle, you're dealing with a person who's living what they're teaching, living what they're talking. So what you're actually doing, even though we're using that word, the breatharian lifestyle, you are mastering your life.
Right. You're becoming more enlightened, and that's really what it is. It truly does end up being a very deeply spiritual path, and the spirit is coming back to your true self, which is this God energy. It's divine.
That can do anything. Consciousness is so powerful, it can move you out of any situation, anything. This is very, very serious. This is what we're dealing with. It is you. As you grow and develop, you'll see it more and more. That's why they call it self-realization. I can tell you and try to get all the big words. Shana can try to get the right words. It's not about that. This is when you start coming on this path, it'll be your own realization. There's a saying that says, I can tell you the information, but you're going to be the one that have to understand it.
Yeah, it's totally experiential. So you could listen to us all day long. You can read books all day long, but you have to, at some point, turn the computer off, put the book down, and put in the practice so you can experience it. That is important. And any spiritual teacher will say, yeah, you should read some spiritual literature every day, or education, or, self-help, maybe watch some things. But for as much as you do that, you should be meditating at least 2 to 3 times as much. Right. So if you read an hour a day, meditate 3 hours a day, that kind of idea. So really put in the practice. And I know here in Western society, we're taught to find the information outside of ourselves. So most people will spend more time in a book or watching videos than doing anything else. And that's not going to get there. You have to take some time out for yourself and go within. You really have to do that.
See, I love this. See, and I'm glad that we hooked up as a team and we're actually saying this. This wasn't said before, not putting down other teachers or nothing on the breatharian journey, not at all. But this message has been evolving throughout the years, especially over the last 5 years. And I'm glad that we picked up enough information now where we're giving people these tools to say, this is, because people still call me all the time. Where do I begin? Where do I start? We're telling you right now. Step number 1, give yourself some time.
Yeah.
I know life can be busy. I know it can be hectic. You have to give yourself some time. That's step number 1, and then take off from there. Okay. But having that hectic lifestyle that we're saying, that right there builds a lot of stress, builds a lot of frustration, builds a lot of anger, builds a lot of all that other stuff comes with it. You understand? That's blocking energy. You can't see. You're frustrated. Then you're going to try to eat your way, which is a drug to numb yourself. And then you get into other things like the drugs, the alcohols, and all this other stuff. You're off to the races.
Or just being distracted, just watching movies long, or just being social all the time, which is fun, but you really do have to have some inward time, like you really do.
Big time. This is where it's all about. And for me, myself, I've been on this path, but I spent a lot of time myself. I had to. This is it. So that's why when they say, what, a yogi spends a lot of time to himself, they're saying basically a spiritually cultivated person. Yes. Yes, you're sociable. You're not an introvert. We're not saying that. You understand? Because that has this negativity. But being alone has big benefits when you're on this journey.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, even my guru, and this is a really good message for a lot of people out there. The other day I was talking with him and I said, you know, I'm having a hard time balancing all the meditating I want to do. Because if it were up to me, I would just be meditating all day long. But I still have to work. I have my practice. I have classes. I have things like that. And he just looked at me and he said, you have to start saying no.
Yeah.
The work, he goes, you need to be meditating
Here we go.
all the time, because he sees the potential, right? I mean, we all have that potential. He's like, you need to make meditation the priority. And when he said that, it was like, ah! And I know for me, it's hard to say no, because and a lot of people
are like
a lot of people in my practice, and so that one's going to be slow for me. But and I know a lot of people have intuition. It is so hard to say no. But at some point you have to realize, wow, your personal practice really does need to be a priority in your life. You know, keep things balanced, but it needs to be a strong priority. You need to put it in your schedule, the time for yourself.
Right. See, and I'm glad you bring it up. People need to hear this again. One of my first packages I brought out was dealing with the 7 principles. And one of the principles was learning how to say no. We look at no as a negativity, you understand. And when you learn about spirituality, we got in our mind, you're always supposed to say yes and don't hurt other people. We're not saying that. But your life, in order to make it a priority, because they don't understand what you're trying to cultivate. You got to say no to people. You got to guard and protect your time, your life, because time is your greatest resource. You can't get that back once it's gone. And you're putting time into yourself, sort of like you're putting money into the bank. You want it to grow. You don't want to go spiritually or energetically bankrupt. You ain't giving it time to grow because you're too busy spending up your time with other people. But learning how to say no is a big one for a lot of nice people. This is what it boils down to, nice people. And believe me, I got good at saying no.
And well, it's really easy to schedule over what you plan for yourself. So like it's easy, okay, I'm going to meditate this time. And then someone says, oh, I need you here. And then you think, well, okay, so I'll put that person here. Maybe I'll meditate later. And then you don't, right? So when you schedule yourself, like that needs to truly be ironclad.
Right.
This is it, you know, and pick a time that's realistic for you and just say, I'm sorry, this is.
And depending on what situation you're in, I had a Tai Chi group one time, and this is what this woman said. Okay, she had her family, she had her grandkids, but she sat everybody down and gave them her schedule. She said, these are the times I have Tai Chi and doing this. And she said, whatever goes down, these time periods, y'all handle it. It has to be a really serious emergency to come get me. You understand? But this is the time for, this is what you might have to do depending on what your situation is. Everybody just don't live alone and stuff like that. You understand? We're not talking about you disassociating yourself with family, but you should be able to at least have them respect some of the hours you're giving yourself and the time you're giving yourself.
Yeah,
that makes a big difference.
I love that we're talking about this because I just had the same conversation with a client of mine, I think even yesterday, and she's trying to figure out how to manage taking time out for herself with her very busy home life. And I said, sit down with your family members and get the buy-in. So just say, hey, you know, this is what I need to feel balanced and supported in my life and in home, and you'll have a better version of me, right?
Yeah.
What can you do to support me accomplishing that? And give the responsibility over to your family members so they can say, oh, okay, give them the ideas. Don't say, oh, I need
right.
this. Let them come to the conclusion. They'll say, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll talk to you after this time, or maybe I can do this, you know, and that way you're co-creating a solution within your home or within work where you are, you know, being able to take care of yourself the way you need to. And then it's just
right.
all the way around and everybody can feel good about it.
Yeah. And see, and this is how serious it got, because again, the average person probably won't understand spiritual cultivation. So this is why you got to learn to say no. I had a schedule one time where in the morning I was working out on myself physically, you know, at the gym. So these other guys started to join in at that time period. But later on that evening, that's my meditation time. Now, none of them don't know nothing about that, but that was my time. Now listen at this on everyday life situation. A guy came to me and said, well, Elitom, let's change our schedule for that day because my wife got to go to work later. But I had to look at him and say, well, I can't change. He said, well, yeah, let's change so we can do this for my schedule because my wife, but I had to let him know I'm not married to your wife. That's your wife. You, I shouldn't have to change my life because your wife changed her schedule. It don't work like that. This is my schedule. This is what I'm set into, and this is my meditation time later. But I had to say no on that level, not being mean.
Right.
Just stick with myself.
Right. Well, that's
the truth of the matter at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's a solid boundary. So yeah, create a solid boundary for yourself and just get really serious with it. Ultimately, that's what
he got over it.
Yeah.
He took it hard at first, but he got over it. I mean, we're still friends. I didn't even know his wife's name. Okay, she changed her schedule.
So anyway, so when you're starting off with your practice, these things might be challenging at first because it may not be a priority to you at first, right? But as you get into it, you realize this is a priority and you realize how much it actually does improve your life when you do take the time for yourself. And, you know, it's just a win-win for everything. So
win-win.
Thought into that. So saying no, having healthy boundaries, putting yourself first, or at least making yourself a priority. And
it pays off.
And experiencing it, not just reading it, but experiencing. I can't, you know, emphasize that enough. You need to go out and you need to do the work, put in the practice yourself. Don't just read about somebody else's experience. Do it yourself. Learn for yourself what this is really like. It's golden. This lifestyle is
golden. Now, I know we used names earlier, you know, dealing with the Shaktis, the Shivas, you know, those are terms we were using. But this life force energy that you're basically what they say in the medical field today, life force energy, whatever name you want to give it, it's going through us and it's all around us. Abundance amount of it. And this is what we're saying. Start learning to get more sensitive to this energy that's going through you and around you. We're energy beings. All of us is working with it. And you have the opportunity to become more better at it. Open these channels up. Deal with yourself. And this is what we're talking about, dealing with the Breatharian journey. And it's so powerful, you will be able to go to the levels to eat very little or none at all. It will sustain you. It's a sustaining force because your body don't know from reality what's fake or what's fiction and stuff like that. It really doesn't know. It's going off of programs. And if it got the energy it needs, it requires a lot of energy. That's why meditation is the foundation. And when it gets the energy it needs, it's not going to kill you. It's not going to starve to death. None of that.
No.
The energy's flowing.
The energy is so flowing.
I hope this makes sense.
Oh my God. It flows like you wouldn't believe. Just as an example, I sat in satsang on Zoom with my Guruji, right? And he gave me a little transmission of energy. I was so high from that. First of all, I felt stuffed. I felt full, like I just had a meal, but I was so high. I think I even maybe was texting you and I'm like, I need to like go outside and howl at the moon or go run around.
Oh yeah.
I was up all night long. I could not sleep. I'm like, oh my gosh. So that's a level of energy and you can actually learn to cultivate that on your own. So in my own meditations, I'm able to tap into that energy and feel really satisfied by the energy and really nourished and enlivened by that energy. And you can too. You just need to put in that practice to do that.
Absolutely. And I like how you said the feeling, you can go to sleep, all of this. Energy don't need to sleep. No. So that's why even when your health started improving, you're on this path and all of this other stuff, yes, your sleep is going to decrease. You're going to have better clarity of thought. It's going to deal with your emotions a lot better. All of this stuff comes with the package. It's a byproduct of the spiritual journey. Yep. You got to love it. And when we use that word spiritual, we're not talking about initiation into a religion. Right. You don't need to join up to no group.
Right.
We're just talking about an energy level of thought, an energy level of living, an energetic light lifestyle. use all types of words.
Exactly. You just do it from wherever you are. You know, if you have a religion that you love, do it that way. If you don't, just do it within, you know, creating your own higher consciousness and connecting with your own beautiful, you know, essence, which is pure love and compassion. It doesn't matter the route, you know, it's just really connect within.
Making that connection.
Yeah, making a huge difference. And joining that, of course, with the fasting and eating less. And what you'll find is the more you're on this journey, the less you need.
You're on it.
You're on it.
Right.
No, there's no effort at all.
No effort at all. That's what we want people to know. Yeah. There's a lot of people that start their journey that want to bulldoze their way, and I'm going to make this effort and put tape on my mouth. We didn't say that at all. I just had to tell somebody else that. I didn't tell you to put tape on your mouth.
Right. If you're feeling sick because you're not eating, go eat.
Right.
You should be feeling good. So if you're feeling sick because you're not eating, meditate more. Eat something light. Wait a few hours.
There you go.
Meditate more.
People need to hear that.
Yeah.
There you go. Because sometimes people used to call me, I'm looking at this bowl of rice. Should I eat it? Well, if you had to ask me, go eat it.
Right. And then wait 3 hours and have a really good meditation, you know?
Yeah.
So
common sense. Work smarter, not harder.
Right.
Don't hurt yourself. Safety first.
Right.
And you will just work and enjoy the journey. Enjoy life. This really isn't a destination. It goes on and on and on. Yeah. I'm over here now. This is just the way it is. Learning so much. Food freedom is actually a minor city power. It's at the 3rd level of some of the yoga levels. You know, dealing with the 7. So it's big when you don't know it exists, but it's not big once you're in it. There's other things we're looking for. So I will tell you that our physical bodies and physical matter is like molecules fitting together and they just come back. We're talking on that level now, but when we talk about things like levitation, teleportation, they're there for a reason. Those things will be coming out one day. I don't know when, but as long as people start waking up on this path and you stay on it and working with energy, you see it more and more and more. I know I do. I was just with a friend who just felt like levitating, but they're serious meditators.
Right. You know, actually, I would love to end this conversation by talking about one of my very favorite saints, who I think I've mentioned before, and I just have to mention her again. So Saint Teresa of Avila, she is a saint in the Catholic religion, and she was known to levitate in church.
Right.
Literally, this is documented. She would
literally,
and people would have to grab her ankles and pull her back down, right? And I know there's a lot of yogi saints in India who's also levitated, but this isn't about that. The reason why I bring her up is because somebody asked her once, what do you do in meditation? Because I don't know if people know this, but in the Catholic religion, it's not all about prayer. It's heavy in the meditation. If you ever read any or look at any documentaries about what these nuns are actually doing in their convents, they start right away with an hour-long meditation in a group for world peace, and then they pray and meditate throughout the day. So meditation is important. I know it's not taught in churches, but it's important. So anyway,
right.
Someone asked her, what do you do when you're in prayer? What do you do when you're in meditation to get to these high states of ecstasy that you feel? And her answer was so simple. She said, all I do is allow myself to be loved by God. And that's it.
Here we go.
Just very simple. So going back to what we were saying, it's just the allowing. It's just the
allowing
thing of the divine love. That's all she did.
That's all she did.
All you have to do.
Allow.
Allow.
Here we go. That's it. Oh my gosh, this is so good. So I hope this helped a lot of people. Yeah. We're doing our best just to share our path. That's all we're doing. This is good once again. And everybody's happy. It's a win-win situation. Every time you change yourself, you change the world.
The whole world.
And I like how Dwayne put a good post on today on social media. He said, when the world looks dark, look again, you might be the light.
Oh, I love that. I haven't seen that. Great.
Right.
Right. Right. So this is a call to make yourself into that light. So, right?
Right.
Yeah, we're all being called to shine our lights.
Absolutely. That's the law right there. Oh my gosh, this is good.
Oh, I
I'm
love
so
it.
excited.
Yay, me too. I love
Whoa.
it. Whoa.
Gratitude. Gratitude for being on this path.
Yeah.
This is wonderful. As we keep on continuing, what else we going to do? Somebody asked me sometimes, do you feel like doing this and doing that again? No, you already did that. You graduated. You outgrew it. We're growing into other states of consciousness now. It's all one consciousness,
Yeah.
but there's different levels and states of it. It don't end. That's why I said these things in the future, this is on one level, the food, freedom, and this and that. That's just a byproduct of other things. But there's other things that's going to come out as humanity because we're one consciousness. We have a collective consciousness. So we're talking this way now. That means that what? All of humanity is getting this. You ain't going to be like way down here and some people, we got social media in this now. You hearing us? There's people growing just for listening to these videos. I hear it all the time. Thank you. Playing it over and over again. The program. People need to hear this. And it's not going to stop. The movement is growing all over the place.
Absolutely. And I'm so excited. So thank you all for being here with us. What an awesome talk. I'm so excited. This is really, really good. So turn off your computers now. Go meditate. Oh, but first subscribe if you haven't done that already.
Right.
Click the bell so you get notifications. And if you have anything you want to share with us, please leave a comment. We'd love to hear what you have to say. And if you have any questions, we love using those as talking points. So share your journey, anything you'd like, and go meditate and have a beautiful life and have fun and just allow the grace to flow through your body.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Love you.
We love you. Mwah. Bye.